Music and phones have been a combination as old as time, from Walkman branded Sony Ericssons to the iPod app on iPhones, all the way through the 32-bit quad DAC era that we had. But somewhere along the line, plugging in your favourite pair of buds or cans stopped being a thing for the great majority, with so few now plugging in, and most instead grabbing a little plastic pod from their pocket, ready to wirelessly jam out. True wireless buds became prolific and the default way to enjoy audio, but where did that come from? There was a catalyst for this, and to explore that, we have to go back in time. In the early 2000s, Apple's iPod was prolific. It was everywhere. The best way to enjoy your music library on the go. And with beautifully crafted pieces of hardware, you were given a pair of earphones. These weren't the greatest, but they enabled you to use your iPod straight out of the box, and these would go through several iterations down the years, eventually being included with the iPhone. By the way guys, we're really trying to hit 500,000 subs, so if you wouldn't mind hitting that button, really help us out. Cheers. With the first few iPhones, Apple wasn't shy about leaning on the iPod's popularity and prestige, as listening to your tunes on the go was a pretty big deal. And though it became less about ripping your CD library and utilising iTunes, and more about internet streaming and services like Apple Music, Spotify and so on, the basic idea was still there. And since iPhones for a long time had the headphone port, you could connect basically anything up to it. A car stereo, a pair of discrete headphones, your favourite open backs, it was entirely up to you. But then Apple dropped an absolute bombshell with its iPhone 7 and 7 Plus, which for the first time in the lineup's history did not come with a headphone port. This was a massive update. The bottom of the iPhone looks so different, and though this came as a shock, Apple still included its wired AirPods, this time now with a lightning connector on the end instead of the famous 3.5mm port that we would have had before. And they would continue to give these in the box for the next few years. But why make this decision to cut the ubiquitous and loved headphone port? Well, there was a product on the horizon that would answer that question. It's safe to say most people dislike the mess and the inconvenience of being tethered to their phone via a cable, and Apple knew that. Suddenly there was a solution to this annoyance, and it looked like, it felt like, and it was priced like an Apple product: AirPods. The physical design was ridiculed and the product was actually brought into question when it first came out because no one had seen anything like this before. The stems in particular were a sticking point, but it wouldn't take long for AirPods to become an absolute sensation. Those once concerned with battery life and sound quality out of Bluetooth buds had mostly completely forgotten about those issues a couple of months in. The general public really likes these, because it was only a few select enthusiasts and audio professionals that were really reluctant to make that switch, and they make a fraction of the consumer base for wireless headphones and earphones. AirPods as a product had good sound quality, easy to use controls, linked via the W1 chip seamlessly to iPhones, probably the biggest selling point there, and were easy to sell alongside a new phone. They were a smash hit. And it started to make sense as to why Apple would get rid of this headphone port. You can argue all you want about space being taken up in a slimmer phone, manufacturing costs, anything else, but being able to sell a $150 to $200 pair of true wireless buds with every phone is a thoroughly good business reason if you ask me. The iPhone 7 series might not have technically been the first to remove the headphone port, but it certainly acted as a catalyst for many an Android maker to ditch the connector in favour of wireless options, and though some held onto it for a couple more years yet, it was only inevitable for basically the whole market to follow Apple's decision making and do it themselves. It's been made clear in recent years that people are willing now more than ever to pay for convenience over anything else. Amazon Prime delivery subscriptions, car finance deals, you name it. And though AirPods are pricey, it seems like many are willing to pay that premium. If data is anything to go by, I mean, look at this. Apple might be slowly losing a bit of market share, but it's still by far and away the biggest seller of TWS worldwide. Because in 2025, the default option is wireless. Whether you go first party or third party, there are some fantastic options from Bose, Sony, Apple, Nothing, Sennheiser, the list goes on. And there are different shapes, sizes, colours, with different features, active noise cancellation, open buds. And I can't lie, for running and exercise, true wireless options are an absolute game changer. Something I wish I'd had years before I picked up my first pair. Everywhere you go, you will see at least one person with something unnatural sticking out of their ears, be it a dot style or a stem style pair of true wireless buds or a pair of over-ear headphones. They have become ubiquitous, and with the increasingly impressive active noise cancellation and immersive or transparency modes available to most pairs, they can be and are worn practically everywhere on dry land. But there will always be a place for analog, hardwired audio, and that's something I stand by to this day. I have an IEM collection, my speakers, my headphones. I love hi-fi, high quality audio, and when I want to sit down and relax with a truly exceptional sound quality, I'm glad we still have options to do that. I carry my little Kiwi ears DAC around with me everywhere I go, but I also carry my Nothing buds too, and I think that's okay to have both as an option. There are some really interesting phones out there that still have the headphone port. You know, older LG models are widely regarded as some of the best. You've got Sony's Xperia line, they're still making those by the way, and stuff like Moondrop's own headphone amp or smartphone combination type thing, which is a very bizarre creation. There are devices out there if you look hard enough and are happy to compromise on things that many other phones have moved on with since. I still have my LG V30 and my Sony Xperia 1 IV for hardwired audio solutions on the go, and given they both have the microSD card slot to go alongside a really good headphone port, they are great devices for off-the-grid listening and enjoying a good pair of headphones, because sometimes I just want to do that. Apple killing the headphone port is bittersweet. We lost the built-in option for analog audio output, but simultaneously ended up with lots of fantastic options for Bluetooth earphones, and I don't think we'd have seen the great progression in this area without Apple doing that initially. I mean, you only have to look at the uptake in wireless car solutions for not only audio but CarPlay and stuff to really understand how much of an effect Apple's decision made on the overall audio market, not just smartphone audio. And the AirPod has continued to grow as a product with multiple iterations and Pro models as well, coming with outstanding ANC and features like wireless charging and instant pairing via Apple's proprietary chips. The product that created the market is still dominant, and that's not by accident. Apple killed the headphone port by offering a solution that didn't only match it, but greatly succeeded it in the eyes of many when it comes to the convenience, and that's something that people are clearly willing to pay for. For better or for worse, it was the catalyst for the wireless audio revolution. Are you sad that Apple killed the headphone port for all of us? Or are you someone who still rocks corded headphones and IEMs like me? Or have you completely forgotten about it at all and you're just using a decent cheap pair of true wireless buds? Let me know what you're using in the comments on what phone you're pairing those with as well. I'm really intrigued to find out, because there's certainly arguments either way, wired or wireless. I say, why can't we have both? Because you know what, there are great uses for both sides. So let's start a discussion, not an argument, but a discussion in the comment section. And whilst you're down there, be sure to hit like if you enjoyed today's content and hit subscribe to never miss another upload on this channel. Thank you all so much for watching. I've been Ryan Thomas, and I will catch you later. Cheers.